Well, if you've ever looked longingly at the speedboats piloted by the likes of movie stars like George Clooney, then you may be in for a bit of a piece of the action, at least on the stock market. Joining us from Milan is Jucca to talk about Ferretti, the maker of the Riva speedboat, which now wants to go public. Lisa, you've looked into this. It's got a bit of a choppy history. Tell us about what's going on.
So Ferretti, is the owner, as you said, of the Riva speedboat brand. Sophia Loren had one of those. You know, we had the Prince of Monaco had one of those. I mean, this is really the sort of, you know, speedboats and super yachts
right.
loved by the rich and famous. But as you said, you know, this company had an initial boom up to the financial crisis and then busted and had to be rescued by a Chinese state player, Weichai.
Right.
Now, almost 7 years after the Chinese poured money into this company, they are trying to list it in Milan. It's actually a relaunch of the company because they were listed before in 2000. And there's a bit of an expectation. I mean, it's the first super yacht maker that is coming to the market. So,
you know, if we think about this from an investment perspective, we want to see how well it's growing. And I think in the piece you say that it was a bit slow after the Chinese first came on board, but then it's got a bit faster. And actually, the growth looks better than some other, at least on a revenue basis, than some of its luxury goods potential competitors like Aston Martin and LVMH and others.
Yes, indeed. So when Weichai took it on board in 2012, I mean, it was an initial slow restructuring. I mean, they were not getting what they wanted. They had to change CEO. But more recently, the company has been growing at compound annual growth of 18%. And this is better than some of the luxury goods giants. I mean, this is better than LVMH, for instance. So, you know, some people may say that Ferretti may command the valuations that the luxury giants have on the market, and if that was the case, the company may get a valuation of almost €1 billion if it goes to the market.
That sounds pretty racy, but is that fair? I mean, from what I read in your piece, the actual multiples on that revenue are pretty low in the water.
Yes, I mean, the issue, if you want, is that the margins that Ferretti gets, I mean, are not as close as you know, the sort of margins that we see in the luxury goods market. So Ferretti makes a 9% EBITDA margin, and LVMH is 3 times that. So the question is, does Ferretti need, I mean, these luxury valuations, or is it more like Fincantieri, which is a shipbuilder, an Italian shipbuilder listed on the Italian markets, which trades at half the valuations of the luxury goods sector?
So we've got the roadshow coming out soon, I assume. When's this meant to go to market?
In October. They expect it to come in October, so it's going to be pretty soon. But as you mentioned, there is trepidation on one hand because this is you know, a kind of a unicum in the equity universe. At the same time, you mentioned Aston Martin. So Aston Martin was a luxury player, let's say, that, I mean, coming, of course, from the car sector, which went to the market last year and wanted to have, you know, push for very high valuation. But then the IPO didn't do well at all. So it was actually a spectacular failure. So one wonders whether Ferretti should try to be cautious.
Right. Great. Well, that's certainly a good way to leave it. Thank you, Lisa, for talking us through that. And we'll be back, I'm sure, to see whether this company, Ferretti, manages to brave the seas.